Okay, here we go, guys. This is it, ladies. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Fire Emblem. But before I do that, here's an introduction. Alright, sorry for that, guys, but welcome back to Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones. The greatest game in the history of all games, really. Again, like I said, I really do apologize for the incredibly cancelled, in my opinion, series. I mean, I'm gonna leave the videos up there, but hey, I guess I'm gonna start anew afresh. But before I do, the sound is really high. I've put it at like one of the lowest settings, and it's probably still really, really loud. I don't know if you can hear me through this. I'm gonna try to talk as loudly as I can, but if the video is a little loud, then I apologize earlier, but I really can't do anything about it. It's my primary source. Alright, anyways, so, yes, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, let's begin. So, I managed to actually save everything. Unfortunately, I want to do this all over again. Only just because it's really upsetting that I couldn't, it was hard already when I was getting into uni, everything kind of wishy-washy, blah. And, I mean, I'm actually in uni now, and technically I should be studying as exam months are coming up. The study period is coming up for me, so I just want to make this kind of like a little teaser video, well, not teaser, but like trailer to this series coming back. I've wanted to do this again, like I said in the very first video, for a very, very long time, but I just never had the time to do so, or the right programming. In this case, I think I'm set, so let's get this game going, and let us begin. So, unfortunately, this saved... Why am I looking that way? This save data is gonna go bye-bye. It was good, it was a good game. It was so good. But it's gonna... I'm gonna miss it. Oh, it's gone. Oh well. Alright, let's begin. So, same rules apply. This is going to be a Fire Emblem where I'm going to go fairly in-depth with the story. Like, I'm going to take the story seriously as if I was doing a normal playthrough, except I'm going to be doing it on hard. Now, the playthrough is going to be 100% absolute. So, all villagers are saved, all characters are alive, and for this playthrough I'm going to be doing both routes. And for each route, I'm going to try and show off every character, because in my opinion, Fire Emblem 8 is one of the only games where you can play as any character, and it can still be pretty good, so we're going to go with it. Difficult one. Here we go. Prologue, the Fall of Remulus. An age long past, evil flooded over the land. Creatures awash in the dark tide ran wild, pushing mankind to the brink of annihilation. In its despair, mankind appealed to the heavens, and with blinding light came hope. The Sacred Stones. Why do I keep looking this way? There's no one there. That is why. Oh, because my webcam is there, but I keep looking to the left of it. The 5 glorious treasures have the power to dispel evil. The hero Grado and his warriors used the Sacred Stones to combat evil's darkness. They defeated the demons and sealed his something away in the stone, or something. They sealed his soul away, I can't remember. With darkness imprisoned, peace returned to mankind. this peace will not last. I should get better lighting. But hey, low budgets! What you gonna do? Okay. The continent of Magvel. For some 800 years, a quiet peace reigned in the absence of the terrible darkness. Sacred stones have been passed from generation to generation. Nations have been built around their power and their legacy. The kingdom of Renias ruled by Fardo, the peerless warrior king. As I said in the first playthrough, I keep looking at them, I will mispronunciate things, so sorry if I say it wrong, but hey, this is how I've said it all my life. The kingdom of Frelia, ruled by Hayden, the venerable Sage King. I can't pronounce things sometimes. The kingdom of Johanna, ruled by Ismir, queen of the White Jews. The theocracy of Ralston, ruled by Manto, the divine emperor. Emperor! The Grado Empire, ruled by Vigard, stalwart silent emperor. I'm also doing these hang on, I'll go into that later. These 5 continents house the power of the Sacred Stones, each held by the hero of their continent. They are joined by the emerging mercantile republic of Carcino. So probably Carcino was just one of the merchants who was with the 5 heroes at the time, and maybe he was helpful in some way or shape or form. In these times of peace, tales of past conflict have drifted into legend, and memories of the ancient dark arts have all but evaporated. It is now the year 803. In an instant, the whole of Magdalene is threatened by an unsuspected atrocity. The Grado Empire, the largest of the Sacred Stone nations, has invaded the kingdom of Renias under the orders of Emperor Vigard. And... War. A long-time ally. Oh, with Grado, Renias is caught off guard and unable to mount any resistance. Well, this is bad. They decided to backstab him in the back. Those assholes! Grado's forces move quickly, seizing one territory after another. Come on, I knew you weren't ready. You know, defend yourself. Compounding King Fardo's worries, his son, Prince Ephraim, has gone missing. Well, that's a genius plan. Send out the prince, the future king, into the enemy territory where it's probably going to die. Grado's momentum carries its armies to the gates of Castle Renias itself. Renias will fall. It is inevitable. Well, this is great. Isn't it always great? This is how Fire Emblem games always start. Shit happens. And these guys ain't bandits. They're the actual army people. No bandits. We'll be seeing bandits shortly, but no bandits. Your Majesty, I bear bad news. The castle gate has been breached. Emperor Vigard's forces are within the castle walls. I understand. The garrison has fallen. We've lost contact with Prince Ephraim and can't expect no aid from his men. Your Majesty, what are we to do? What else can we do? Order your men to lay down their arms. I'm not going to do it from your voice. Father, Eureka, are you wearing the bracelet I gave you? Yes, I have it right here. Good. Seth. Yes, Your Majesty. Take Eureka and head for Frelia. King Hayden is an honorable man. I trust he will keep you safe. I understood. Understood. And what of your Majesty? And what of your... There. What of your Majesty? Me? I shall remain here. We have long held Grado among our dearest allies. And now they attack? I must know why. My son are responsible for this. Have I erred in my leadership? Renias is mine to guide. How could I have failed her so? Father, you can't stay. You mustn't. If you remain behind, then so shall I. Go now, Seth. Ride. Take her to safety. I would yell, but it is 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm meant to be asleep, but you know what? I'm excited for Fire Emblem if I wanted to do this, so leave me alone. Let me do what I want to do. And I didn't even do the dialogue. God damn it, I'm failing already. Oh dear. Ephraim. Oh, Ephraim. Rika, you must survive. Well, he's dead. Speaking of dead, General Seth, France, ride ahead and bring word of our coming to Frelia. A single rider has better odds of passing unseen like Ryder's men. There's only 3 of you! Convey to the throne all that has happened. He here and petition for reinforcements. Understood. Later, boy. Princess Rika, we must. Oh shit! Quickly behind me! Oh, good. Dragons! This is exactly what we want. You there with the girl, tell me, would that be the wayward princess of Rheneas? Rheneas? Oh, Toshiba service station, go away. I don't need to see you here. Thank you. Well, this must be my lucky day. You're a dead man. The wench goes with me. Never! In-game battle sequence! Oh, wait, no! Cutscene battle sequence! Oh no! I forgot what the frick it's called! I am Volta, the Moonstone Group's finest general, and you're just a corpse who does not know he is dead! How did you miss with a 62%? Although I expected that. Move your ass, boy! Okay. So we're running away. I'm surprised you didn't follow! Such terrible wounds, and still yours duty. How entertaining. Fly away, little man. Fly away. Try to outrun death. More time to savor the hunt. And kill. So clearly this guy's the bad guy. I don't know why, but he is. It's always the dragon people who are the mad ones. Princess Erika, this way. I can see no more of Grada's men. The Admiral Mouse is still there. If we've made it this far, we've surely earned a moment's rest. Please forgive my grabbing you so brusquely earlier. Brusquely, huh? Oh, brusquely? Where did you grab her? Oh, don't be foolish. If it weren't for you, I would never. Why had I turned English? Have made it out of the castle. Ugh. You are the reason I'm still alive. You have my gratitude. That's a Lucina quote. And whoever that man was, he was clearly after me. It's my fault that you received such a grave wound. Allow me to treat it, Your Highness. We cannot allow this injury to be an obstacle. We have more important matters to attend to. We must press on to Frelia. We must fulfill His Majesty's wishes. I wonder how my father fares alone in the castle. Do you think he's safe? What of my brother on the Grado front? We've heard nothing from him for days. King Fado and Prince Ephraim are both valiant and brave men. I doubt even the might of the Grado Empire can hold them in check. More important to me, Your Highness, is that you look on your own safety. How sad the 2 of them would be if something would happen to you. We must reach Frelia to ensure the day of your happy reunion. Yes, of course, you're right. Yes, it's all me! Until I'm reunited with my father and brother, I must not despair. Always have hope! Danganronpa. If you know it, I love you. And brother, come Seth, let us go! Let's go onward. We must fight. Now in the tutorial, if you're using this on English version, yes, English mode, it would teach you most of the, attacks, but I'm going to do this for you. By the Frelia, the border of Milan, let's proceed, Princess Erika, yada yada yada. Your Highness, I will not let you. This will not be an easy ride. Please, take this rapier. If something should happen to me, I must continue to Frelia alone if need be. Yes! Now here comes the test of luck. I always love this prologue, because it's the test of luck. You there, Rheneas dogs, where do you think you're going? Rona's men. Stand back, Princess Rika. It's alright, Seth. My brother's told me something of swordplay, even though he doesn't wield a sword. I will stand with you. Okay, so, welcome to the prologue of Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. I will go over this again if this is the first one you're watching, as opposed to my second, or my original playthrough of it. So obviously this cursor is how you're going to be controlling things on the map. The control pad is to move the cursor, and holding B allows you to move it faster. B is also to cancel certain actions, by the way. Okay, so also A is to do certain actions. If you select A on a character, you can move them certain distances. Blue spaces show how far they can move, and red spaces show the furthest attack spot. So, like, for example, I can attack anyone within the red squares, so within the red squares. That's basically how that works. If I press A on an empty space, it takes you to the menu guide, the menu, where you have units, which shows your unit stats, lovely, status, which shows the chapter status of what you need to do, how many enemies you have, well, how many your units are alive, how many enemy units are alive, turns, how much cash you have, and the total play times. It's for 11 minutes, great. The guide, which technically the guide here, you don't need the guide. Options, okay, I'm going to leave options on. I'm going to set the game speed to fast, text speed on fast, because I'm going to be auto cursor off, just because it's a pain. You don't need to know much of this, it's just self-explanatory, really. I'm gonna have... and suspend is pretty much your quick save. Once you suspend a game, because you have like an errand to do or something, then of course you can save the game from where you're at. However, once you continue that, the suspended save will go, so you can't just save at a point and then if the unit dies you can start there again. Which goes to my next point, but I'll go into that later. So for now, we're going to move Eureka. Oh, before I do that, if you click on the enemy units with the A button, you can actually see their distance of movement and attack range. It's not like Awakening where you can actually like save it on the thing. You have to manually test each enemy character's range. Okay, so in this case, let us move. Alright, so if I move to an empty space with Eureka, so like of course when I select her I can move her to any blue space only. If I move onto a blue space with no enemies around, I can use items. In this case, the items show their inventory. Each character only has 5 inventory spaces in their inventory. Vulneraries heal 10 HP. Most, any unit can use that, and Eureka has her own personal sword, the Rapier. This can only be used by Eureka throughout the entire game. By selecting Wait, this ends their character's turn. And each character really has only one action before, their turn finishes. And as soon as their turn is done, it's the enemy's phase to attack. Now, I'll show the battle screen here, so then I don't have to talk about it later. So if you move next to an enemy, you can choose to attack them, and then you select the weapon you want to use. Now, I should also mention the R button shows little help functions as well. What does the L button do on here? Oh, L button does that, okay. Alright, so if we go into here and attack the unit, here we have a few different things to keep into consideration. The blue section shows us, like the character we are using to attack. The red shows the red part shows the enemies, the outcome of the battle. This is like kind of the battle prep thing. So obviously HP shows how much HP each unit has. So we have 16, they have 23. MT means the amount of damage they will do. As you can see, there's a floating ×2 around Eureka's 7. This means she has enough speed to attack twice for one battle round. This, of course, in normal math terms, deals 14 damage. So it's a very, very, very useful thing. The hit represents the hit percentage, so obviously the higher hit percentage, the more chances you are going to hit. Basically, Eureka's attack is not going to miss, as it's 100%, and the enemy's is a 39% chance of happening, so that's kind of iffy, but in Fire Emblem, the RNG is mean, and only mean to the player. I'm telling you now. Anyways, crit is also a percentage, but it's a percentage where, obviously as it says here, a chance for one strike to do 3 times the damage. So Erika technically has 2 chances to land a critical hit, which has a 14% chance for each one. If it lands, it does 3 times a single shot, so in this case, if Erika's critical hit lands, she does 21 damage. Okay, another thing to keep in mind, and maybe the last thing I'll keep in mind for you guys, is the weapon triangle. Each weapon has a different class, ranging from swords, axes, and lances. So, for example, Erika has a sword, Seth has a lance, and these guys have axes. Now, here's the thing. Swords are stronger than axes, axes are stronger against lances, and lances are stronger against swords. Does that mean they will win all the time? No, they will just get added bonuses, or like they'll get buffs or debuffs towards their certain, weapon. Since Erika is using a sword against an axe user, she actually gains these incredible stats as opposed to our enemy. But I'm going to do something strategic for the prologue. I'm going to actually wait here. Also, pressing the R button on your unit shows their personal stats, which I'll go into next time. But for now, I'm going to wait right here. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be very upset. So, enemy phase. Okay, good. Stab. Stab. Nice. Everything seems to be going as planned. And every battle you gain experience, of course. Okay. What's the next bit to talk about? Right. When you press R, so this is like on the Game Boy Advance, if you press R on a blue unit or a red unit, you actually get to access their personal menu. I guess I'll go through each one. So this is obviously their items inventory. And they can hold up to 5 items, like I said earlier. And depending on what is equipped, as said by the E on the little rapier thing at the very right side of that, that shows what that equipment does at the very bottom, like the bottom equipment window. It has a 1 attack range, so it's pretty much next to a unit, has a base attack of 11, has a 14 base critical hit rate, a base critical hit rate of 113%, and a base avoid of 23%. Or, not 23%, just a base of 23. I don't know the main maths behind it, but this is basically what it is. Another thing to keep in mind is that each weapon does have durability. So Erika has used 2 of her 40 shots of the rapier, that's why it's only got 38 out of 40. You always want to keep in mind the weapon usage because you do not want to have one of your units holding low weapon things and be stuck within like a whole army of things. A whole army where they don't have anything to fight back with. The weapon and support levels, I might go into a little bit more in depth with supports, but for now, the weapons determine if a unit can use a weapon or not. For example, Erika has a level E in swords, and she can only use swords since the other classes of weaponry, swords, lances, and bows, which I'll get into later, are actually grayed out. She's only able to use swords, and you can see that it gains experience every time it's been used. Once it has been used, it will go up a rank, so obviously it will go from E to D. And an example of a D sword would be the Steel Sword. The Steel Sword, as you can see, it says Sword D, so only D rank units can use it. In this case, Erika can't use it because she does not have enough skill. So that's basically how the weapon levels work. And then we have these personal data. I'm going to go through these fairly briefly, but I'll use the R to help out. So Strength, the higher the number, the more damage you can do. Skill, the higher skill you have, the more chances you're going to hit an opponent, as well as the higher chance you're going to crit an opponent. Speed, this affects both attack and evasive, so obviously the more speed you have, the more avoid you're going to have, as well as the more speed you have, the more chances you're going to do a double attack on a slower opponent. So if you have a lot of speed, you're going to be doing 2 attacks almost most of the rounds. So speed, very important for most characters. It is insanely useful, and it's my personal stat that I love. Luck, how do I go through this? It affects many things, except for 4 main base things. It improves critical hit, it improves critical avoid, it improves normal hit percentage and decreases and increases avoid. Like it's very minimal, but if you have a lot of luck, the main thing is if you have a lot of luck, you can avoid critical hits from enemies a lot more easier. So having a very lucky character is really good. Okay. Defense. Defense, obviously, the more defense you have, you can reduce the damage from physical weapons. Resistance, which I'll go into again a little bit more in depth, is instead of physical weapons, it's resistance to magic, which we don't have any magic units here, so it doesn't matter. The move represents the number of spaces they can move, so Eureka can move 5 spaces per turn, as Seth can move a whopping 8, which is actually quite a lot when you think about it. Con represents rescuing, so kind of like their physical build. In this case, Eureka's build isn't that high, it's only 5, and Seth's is 11, because he's a strong man. And this con affects both weapon weight and rescuing, which again, I might go into a little bit later. Aid represents this function in Fire Emblem where you can actually rescue other units. For example, Eureka can only rescue people with a constitution of 4. So if there's any units with a constitution of 4, she can rescue them. Seth, on the other hand, has a constitution of, has an aid of 14, and the horse symbol represents bonus because he's riding a horse. So any mounted units have an ability in rescue, or like an extra amount of constitution in rescuing, and I think that's pretty cool. So, in this case, because, you know, Seth has 14 aid as to Eureka's 5 con, he has the option to rescue her. When you rescue a unit, your stats of skill and speed will decrease, so you gotta be careful, but it is a very useful tool if you want to use a very high movement unit to get away from certain things. Traveling, obviously, if you've rescued a unit, it shows who they've rescued. A fin represents supports, we don't really care, and conditions are like status, so characters can be poisoned, characters can be stoned, and other things, but it doesn't matter. And also you can see at the bottom there you have like a kind of a battles, how many battles they've done, how many wins they've achieved, and how many losses they've had. And that's basically it with this. If I want to say anything more, I guess I'm going to do this for every character, every new character we get, I'm going to do a little intro to each one. So here we go. Eureka, the princess of the kingdom of Reneus. She is elegant and kind. Her class, so this is their class, she is a lord class. There's a lot of things you got to keep in mind in Fire Emblem, but in this case, I'm saying the basic stuff. Anyway, so Lord, this is obviously her class. Noble heirs to the ruling house, they possess great potential. This obviously sees her level. As soon as they reach 100 points in experience, they will gain a new level, and that is her HP, and of course that little sword flicking thing she's doing there is her sprite. And next we have Seth. Seth, a young commander of Reneus. He's calm, composed, and skilled. He is a paladin, which are mountain knights with superior abilities. They equip swords and lances. He's obviously level 1, and he's actually hurt from the cutscene we had a while ago, so poor Seth. I should also mention, if you compare their stats together, you can tell that Seth is a incredibly amazing unit. Reason being, Seth's class is a paladin. A paladin is actually a promoted class of, if you saw from the cutscene, the brown horse, a guy named Franz. He is actually a cavalier, so paladins are a class up to cavaliers. Think of it as if like it's Pokemon, how a Pokemon evolves into a stronger unit. In this case, cavaliers can promote into paladins, and that is what Seth is. Seth is a paladin, so, you know, he has amazing stats. With that being said though, you do not want to attack with Seth. I mean, he can wreck house. I mean, look at that. That is such an amazing, you know, chance. Those are amazing chance rates. But with each battle, if you use a very strong unit on a weak unit, they will gain less experience. So overall, it is a very, very, very bad idea to do so. In this case, I am doing fabulously. This is great. No idea. So I'm gonna let this guy attack me again, because I don't want the boss to move. There we go. Alright, we're nearly at the level up spot. Okay. Next up is their leader. Sweet. Okay. Now that I've gotten most of this stuff out of the way, do I need to explain anything else? Not really, no. Whew. Alright. One more thing to talk about when it comes to Fire Emblem. If you notice on the map, there are different, like, sprites and figures for each square. For example, we are all currently on a plain spot, which is set on the bottom left corner of the screen, or of the game. If we hover over a screen that has trees on it, this is known as a forest tile. Forest tiles actually give you bonus defensive stats. So for example, this one gives you 1+ in defense and 20% extra avoid, which is really good. And like you have other places like peaks, which is like insanely the best defense terrain in the entire game. However, only certain units can actually trek over them. Speaking of trekking over them, if you trek over, like if you try to walk over a forest tile, your movement is lowered. So for example, plain tiles only take 1 space of movement. Forest tiles for most foot soldiers take 2. Paladins, I believe, actually take 3 spaces of movement because they can move far on plains, but when it goes through harder terrain, they can't do so. So, for example, what you want to do here, if we put Erika on that forest tile, she gains 20 avoid and 1 defense point. It doesn't show in the defense point here, but she gains 1 defense in the fight. And we're going to have Seth support him from behind. Cheerleaders, cheerleaders, rah, rah, rah. What was that? Do you think you can take me, Wesley Ling? Come, to hide my last, blah, blah, blah. You're just a generic knight. You're not threatening at all. You will be the first to die. I don't know about that, mate. I think you're going to die. And that's what a critical hit is, ladies and gentlemen. What a way to end the episode. Can I just say, critical hits, they are what you want in Fire Emblem because they are so flashy and awesome, and it feels great to get them. Most of the time. There are times when if you kill an enemy, that does mean another enemy can attack you and can lead to more abuse. That's an amazing level up! Oh my god! Okay. Well, there you go. First chapter done in a matter of half an hour. But at least it saves time for explaining never again. There probably will be a lot more to explain, but oh, this is one hell of an intro video. And this is what Fire Emblem Awakening was based on. Almost Fire Emblem, sorry. Where's injured? What? Oh no, I'm fine, Seth. But you look so pale. I'm fine. Fine. Completely fine. This is war, isn't it? Actually, she didn't even take a single dent. It's not like all the games I used to play with my brother and Leon. I never thought, I didn't know it'd be this savage. You really didn't think that? A word's useless? It's strength all that matters? It's so sad. Well, if there's one thing, Erika, you can't just waltz up to the enemy and go, why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? You can't do that, because they are out to get you, your head. You're the princess, so if you die, practically, they win. That's how this world works. It sucks that you're a princess. I can't, we can't, but you were just unfortunate to be born into a high noble society. How do I know? I'm gonna wave this up to where this is restored. Oh, well that's great. I forgot to commentate on the dialogue. But there you go, guys. This is the true 23-4, and that is the first prologue of the returning series of Fire Emblem Sacred Tones. I hope this recording style is a lot better than before. I've fairly enjoyed it. I never actually thought I was going to do webcam. I thought I was going to be anonymous to some, but I don't know. I think it might be pretty cool just to see my darling face and my gaming costume. So, alright, this is 23 Volt, fellas, and I shall end my turn and see you guys next time. Later.